Hi, in this quick tip we're going to have a little quiz about the circle of fifths. Now if you haven't met the circle of fifths as yet, we have actually a free film out on YouTube that tells you all about it, and it's a wonderful thing because even though you look at that and you think, oh my goodness, that looks terribly complicated, actually it isn't that complicated, and it tells us everything we need to know about keys, which sharps, which flats you need in any particular key. It's a wonderful way of going about things, and it shows us how the whole key system is organized. So if you don't know about the circle of fifths, have a look at the free film on the circle of fifths first, and then come back and you can use the quiz to see what your knowledge of the circle of fifths is like. If you know the circle of fifths, or you know your way around keys and key signatures, it'll just be a chance to fine-tune your skills. So here we are. Here's a circle of fifths. The keys in black are the major keys, the keys in red in the brackets are the minor keys, and then the blue letters around the outside are telling us what we're doing in terms of key signatures. So here's question 1. Why is this called the circle of fifths? Why is it called the circle of fifths? I'll come back to the answers at the end. Question 2. Why does it contain 3 circles? Question 3. What is a relative key? What is a relative key? Question 4. Which major key has 5 sharps? Which major key has 5 sharps? Question 5. Which minor key has 4 flats? Which minor key has 4 flats? Question 6. What's the difference between a harmonic minor scale and a melodic minor scale? What's the difference between a harmonic minor scale and a melodic minor scale? Question 7. Can you name a minor scale that might contain a double sharp? A minor scale that contains a double sharp. Question 8. The new sharp for any major key is which degree of the scale? The new sharp for any major key is which degree of the scale? Question 9. The new flat for any major key is which degree of the scale? The new flat for any major key is which degree of the scale? And question 10, our last question, what is the key signature for A flat minor? What is the key signature for A flat minor? Okay, now then, when you're ready, come back to share your answers with me and let's see how you got on out of 10. Why is it called the circle of fifths? Because basically it's all about fifths. You start with C at the top, you go upper fifth to G, upper fifth to D, C, D, E, F, G, or G, A, B, C, D, upper fifth to A, upper fifth to E, upper fifth to B, and so on. And on this side, we go down in fifths. And then all these other circles that relate to this circle obviously all do the same thing. So this goes up in fifths, this goes down in fifths, this goes up in fifths, this goes down in fifths, and so on. So you can see why it's called the circle of fifths. Question 2, why does it contain 3 circles? Well, the circle in black there is telling you about major keys. The circle in red with the notes in brackets is telling you about minor keys. And the circle in blue is telling you which sharps do you need for these keys and which flats do you need for these keys. What is a relative key? Well, here's an example. E minor is the relative key of G major because E minor and G major both share F sharp as a key signature. So you can say that E minor is the relative minor of G major, or you can say G major is the relative major of E minor. And that's true for every other pair that you see between the black and the red. Okay, which major key has 5 sharps? And the answer is B major. It's the sort of question you can sit and sweat over for hours, but if you've got the circle of fifths, you're straight there. The sharps are on the outer ring, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The major key with 5 sharps is B major. Which minor key has 4 flats? Well, remember the minor keys are the red. So we're looking for a minor key with 4 flats. So let's count round from the outer circle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we find the minor key with 4 flats is F minor. Okay, question 6. What's the difference between a harmonic minor and a melodic minor scale? Well, you can work out what you need in a key signature for a minor scale. So if you take G minor, you're going to have B flat and E flat in the key signature. For a harmonic minor scale, you're also going to raise the 7th degree of the scale, not in the key signature, but as you go. So in the case of G minor, the 7th degree of the scale is F, so you raise that and call it F sharp. In the case of a melodic minor scale, you raise the 6th and the 7th degree of the scale going up the scale, and you just use the key signature coming down the scale. So in G minor, the 6th degree is E flat, so you'd make it E natural going up. The 7th degree is F, so you'd call that F sharp going up. But when you come down, F natural, E flat, reverting to the key signature. Okay, what was question 7? Name a minor scale that would contain a double sharp. Well, that's a funny question, isn't it? But when you get down to the bottom here, you start to meet double sharps. If I take G sharp minor and I look at the 7th degree of G sharp minor, well, the 7th degree of G sharp minor is F sharp. So if I have to raise the 7th degree, it has to become F double sharp. So you could have gone for G sharp minor as an example, or you could have gone for D sharp minor, because then when you raise the 7th degree, it's going to be C double sharp. Or you could have gone for A sharp minor. So that's where the double sharps creep in when you raise the 7th degree. If the 7th degree is already sharp, raise it, it becomes a double sharp. Okay, what's the next question? Question 8. The new sharp for any major key is which degree of the scale? It's always the 7th degree of the scale. The 7th degree of G major is F, so it's F sharp. The new flat for any major key is which degree of the scale? The 4th degree of the scale. The 4th degree of F major is B, so it's B flat. And then finally, question 10, what is the key signature for A flat minor? Well, here's A flat minor. Is it a key that you generally know terribly well? Most people don't, so it can be a bit of a sweat, but it's easy when you've got the circle of fifths. A flat minor is right at the bottom here. So what's the key signature for A flat minor? And you even have it in the correct order: B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat, F flat. So how did you get on with the circle of fifths quiz? If you got 10 out of 10, congratulations, you've obviously got this rumbled. If you got slightly less than 10 out of 10, hopefully it's a chance just to revise your knowledge of the circle of fifths. And if that was a total disaster for you, have a look at the film on the circle of fifths, because you'll probably find it will come in handy. Good luck.